Guyana, a land of rivers, rainforests, and coastline, holds a secret far greater than its natural beauty. Its true wonder lies in the tapestry of peoples who call it home. From the edge of the Amazon to the Atlantic coastline, Guyana's story is one of migration, identity, resilience, and cultural fusion. The nation is shaped by the journeys of its major ethnic groups, each bringing their own histories, struggles, and triumphs. Understanding Guyana requires delving into the lives of Indo-Guyanese, Afro-Guyanese, Amerindians, Chinese and Portuguese minorities, in mixed heritage communities, tracing how they arrived, why they stayed, and how they have built their lives across this diverse land. Along the way, the homes they live in reveal much about opportunity, wealth, and community in modern Guyana. The Indo-Guyanese community is the largest single ethnic group, representing nearly 40% of the population. Their story begins in the mid-19th century, after the abolition of slavery left British Guyana's plantations with a desperate need for labor. Tens of thousands of laborers from India arrived under indenture contracts, promised wages and land at the end of their service. Many endured harsh conditions and grueling work, yet over time, they transitioned from laborers to landowners, farmers, and traders. Settling mainly on the fertile coastal plains, they created communities with temples, mosques, schools, and social networks, firmly planting their roots. Indo-Guyanese culture brought languages, religious traditions like Hinduism and Islam, and vibrant festivals such as Diwali and Holi, all of which became woven into the national fabric. Over generations, the community expanded into professional sectors, trade, and government roles. The decision to stay was often motivated by the opportunity to own land, the safety of established communities, and the chance to build a new life far from the poverty of their homelands. In modern times, Indo-Guyanese also emigrate to countries like Canada, the United States, and the United Kingdom, yet many maintain strong ties to their ancestral land. Housing among Indo-Guyanese ranges widely, with urban homes in Georgetown often costing tens of millions of Guyanese dollars, while coastal villages see smaller properties valued in the lower millions, reflecting both opportunity and tradition in settlement patterns. Afro-Guyanese, forming around 30% of the population, trace their ancestry to African slaves brought to work on plantations during Dutch, French, and British rule. Emancipation in 1838 freed them legally but did not immediately create economic independence. Many remained in plantation districts as wage laborers or became independent farmers, while others moved to towns seeking education, trade, and urban livelihoods. Their culture, infused with African traditions and Christianity, has significantly influenced Guyana's music, language, and political activism. Afro-Guyanese played central roles in labor movements, union organization, and the struggle for representation in government. Migration within Guyana was often driven by the search for better employment, education, and social mobility. In urban centers like Georgetown, housing options range from modest concrete homes in densely populated neighborhoods to larger properties in more affluent districts, reflecting both historical settlement patterns and current economic disparities. Over time, Afro-Guyanese have diversified into professions and commerce, yet some challenges of inequality and access persist, especially in comparison to coastal landowners and established business families. The Amerindian population, comprising roughly 10% of Guyana, represents the country's original inhabitants. Indigenous groups such as the Carib, Arawak, Wai-Wai, Patamona, Akawayo, Makushi, and Wapashana have long histories of subsistence farming, hunting, and fishing, with cultural traditions closely tied to the rainforest and interior lands. European colonization disrupted many of these communities, leading to land loss, forced settlement, and social pressures. Despite these challenges, Amerindians have preserved languages, customs, and governance systems, adapting selectively to modern education, health services, and economic opportunities. Many Amerindian youth migrate temporarily to towns for schooling or work, sometimes returning to their communities enriched by new skills and experiences. Housing in Amerindian regions tends to be simpler, often constructed from local materials and without extensive infrastructure, yet these homes are deeply connected to land stewardship, sustainability, and cultural continuity. The Amerindian communities remain vital to Guyana's identity, safeguarding ecological knowledge and contributing to the growing eco-tourism sector, offering outsiders a glimpse into traditional ways of life. Smaller ethnic groups, such as the Chinese and Portuguese, arrived in Guyana under similar indenture schemes during the 19th century. Chinese laborers were contracted from Hong Kong and southern China, initially working plantations before many transitioned into retail and business, becoming known for entrepreneurial ventures in trade and commerce. Portuguese immigrants, primarily from Madeira, also arrived as indentured workers, later establishing themselves in trade, retail, and middle-class professions, leaving a lasting imprint on commerce and urban culture. Though their populations are small today, the legacies of these communities persist in family businesses, cultural practices, and contributions to the broader economic fabric of Guyana. Housing for Chinese and Portuguese Guyanese historically centered in urban trade districts, with properties often reflecting their commercial success, from modest urban dwellings to larger homes in Georgetown's residential areas. Mixed heritage communities, often referred to as Dogla when combining African and Indian ancestry, make up nearly 20% of the population. These individuals embody the blending of cultures, identities, and family lineages, creating new forms of expression and social cohesion. Mixed communities often act as cultural bridges, integrating traditions from multiple ethnic backgrounds and challenging rigid ethnic divisions. Their migration patterns and housing reflect a fluidity shaped by both family networks and opportunity, with many residing in urban centers or suburban developments where access to education and commerce is greatest. The smaller percentage of other groups, including Europeans and remaining Chinese families, further enriches the cultural diversity of the nation, creating a unique mosaic of heritage and identity. Migration within Guyana and to the broader diaspora has always been influenced by opportunity, necessity, and community networks. The arrival of Africans and Indians under colonial labor systems was followed by internal movement toward urban centers, education, and professional sectors. Economic diversification, from agriculture to trade, mining, and now oil and gas, has continued to influence where people settle and the types of housing they pursue. Coastal plains, where most of the population resides, feature more developed infrastructure and higher property values, while interior regions reflect both traditional practices and limited development. The contrast between urban and interior housing, from multi-million Guyanese dollar homes to simple forest dwellings, underscores ongoing disparities in access, opportunity, and wealth accumulation among the various ethnic communities. Guyana's story is one of resilience and adaptation. Ethnic interdependence and historical tensions have shaped politics, social organization, and economic opportunity, yet the overarching narrative is one of contribution and cooperation. The rapid urbanization, the growth of the oil economy, and the expanding educational and professional opportunities are redefining life in both coastal and interior regions. Diaspora connections, remittances, and return migration continue to influence development, while Amerindian communities and traditional practices offer a model for sustainable and culturally grounded living. Housing remains both a symbol and a practical reflection of these dynamics, linking identity, wealth, and historical patterns in a visible way. Guyana is more than a country of rivers, rainforests, and coastline. It is a living story of human migration, adaptation, and resilience. From the African slaves who endured unimaginable hardship to the Indian laborers who arrived seeking opportunity, from the indigenous peoples who have long nurtured the land to Chinese and Portuguese entrepreneurs who carved niches in commerce, and the mixed heritage communities forging new identities, the nation is defined by the interwoven lives of its people. The homes they build, the communities they sustain, and the cultures they preserve all testify to a society that is both diverse and interconnected. Guyana's future depends on balancing growth, opportunity, and cultural preservation, ensuring that every group, whether in a bustling Georgetown neighborhood or a remote Amerindian village, can thrive. The mosaic of peoples, traditions, and aspirations makes Guyana a unique and fascinating nation. A land where history and modernity coexist, and where every story contributes to the larger narrative of belonging and resilience.